Mr. Cox, how you doing, brother?
Hey there, sir. What's going on? Another day in the neighborhood. We're gonna
Yes,
try to bring
sir.
you an informative show tonight. It's just me and you tonight. No special guest. Nikki is out. She's sick. She got allergies and
Uh-oh.
couldn't make it. So Georgia do it to you, man. Georgia will
Oh,
do
I
it to
know,
you.
man. I know, man. I've tell her to get well, man. I understand. I got a wife, man. It's that stuff kills her, so I
Yeah,
get it, man.
yeah. My wife is same way. Same way. So
But
yeah,
but
so go ahead and tell them what we got going on this week.
yes, sir. We got a really good show tonight, man. This one is more personal. Kind of gets back to what we really wanted this podcast to be about, which is us, people to share our reflection. Brother Tony here is going to talk to everybody about prostate cancer and kind of his journey through, finding out about it, working with his doctor, getting everything taken care of, and a plea to black men, particularly our age, is to go and get tested for this stuff. Yes, it is uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's better than finding out and not being able to do anything about it. So go do what you need to do. And then we're going to talk a little bit, kind of make it a little light, talk a little bit about a couple movies that are coming out, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this show, man. I'm going to do most of the listening and let Tony educate us a little bit.
Okay, Suleiman, thank you as usual. And as you see with our graphics down there, it says Gents Making Sense, sharing experience and knowledge. And that's what we're going to do tonight. I'm going to try to share my experience and my knowledge with a disease that black men in particular seem to be afraid of. It's like the boogeyman to them, you know? It really is. And that's really something I would like to change, and if you ask why, is because I'm personally affected by prostate cancer. This week is 1 year when I started my journey, and a lot of people say, "Well, why do you call it a journey with prostate cancer?" Because it is. It's a total journey where you start from one place and it never ends. Once you've been diagnosed with cancer, uh, it's a never ending journey, and you just do the best you can to ride the wave and be as proactive as possible. To get us started, I'm gonna give y'all a few little stats from the American Cancer Society dealing with prostate cancer. Prostate cancer, 1 out of 8 males in the United States will get prostate cancer. That's males in general. So you know how they always say when America gets a cold, black people get pneumonia. So with prostate cancer, it's the same type thing. If 1 in 8 males in the United States will get prostate cancer, 1 in 6 black men will get it. So you see, we're more susceptible to it. And the older you get, the more susceptible you are to it. Like when you get over 65, that number goes up to 6 out of 10. So, um, yeah, it's a prevalent uh, disease. It's genetic. Is and the things you got to do is you got to look at your background. You got to see what your family, what how it goes in your family, the males in your family. You got to think prevention. Me, for example, my brother had prostate cancer, and he's been dealing with it for over 20 some years. And once he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, automatically I start having to get PSAs twice. Twice a year, every 6 months, instead of once a year, or when you turn 50 or 60, you start getting it. As soon as my brother was diagnosed with it, I wasn't 40 years, I was right at 40 years old then. And uh, so I started to have to get my PSA twice a year. In my my yearly examination, the full examination, I would get the physical prostate check. That's the one that everybody fears, and that's when your doctor got to do the digital examination, and everybody know what that is. Bend over and cough, pretty much. So, uh, and I don't know why that is such a big deal for a lot of people. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of talk about my journey now. I'm gonna start with about this time last year. I went to the doctor, my regular doctor's appointment, my primary care doctor. Uh, did all the things that we do at a physical and everything, and I then he asked me to go do blood work. So I went to go do my blood work. This is another little gem I'm gonna put in there too, because when I went to do my blood work, I asked him what type of test did he order, because you need to know what what your doctor is ordering for you, because you can just be going in there and they be willy nilly not doing anything, you know. So the first thing I always ask the lab is, what orders did he put in, and she told me everything that he wanted to check, and there was no PSA. I said, why am I not getting a PSA this time? And she said, well, there's a change in the insurance with the PSA. You may have to pay $160 for it. I was like, okay, I understand that, but just because I got to pay $160, why would you take it out? You know what I'm saying? Uh, I said, can you check my insurance again? Because I have two insurance, uh, you know. And she went back in, she checked it, and she put a couple of numbers. She said, oh, no, you don't have to pay. But still, the gem that I'm giving you is, know what your doctor is doing to you. Know what he is asking for when you go to the lab. Always ask the lab tech, what are you testing for today? And if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have got that PSA that day. And I went home, did my labs like I normally do, went home, and not less than 2 hours later, I got a phone call from my doctor's office, and it was my doctor. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, hey, I looked at your labs and everything. I said, yeah, can I see it online? He said, yeah. He said, but your PSA is elevated. I said, okay. Hold on just a second. Let's pause this for just a second, okay? Okay. So he said, your PSA is elevated over 4. 4 is the number you're looking at. When you get a PSA test, it can be elevated to 2.5, maybe even 3. And they'll just say, hey, we're going to check your PSA the next time you come in. Uh, and there's no problem there. But once it go over 4, it sets in place a couple of things that doctors usually do, must do, and you need to make sure that your doctor do it. 4 is like the high level, and once it get over that high level, like I said, it sets in place a couple of things that got to happen. One of those is your doctor should say, hey, I'm going to refer you to a urologist and have him check you out because your PSA is elevated. And when he said that, I have to admit that my heart kind of sunk down in my chest, and I was like, wait a minute, hold on. What are you saying? He just said your PSA is elevated. It could be a multitude of things. And he said it could be your prostate is swollen or enlarged, and we need to see if that's the case and everything. He never once did he say anything about cancer, because even though I knew my brother had prostate cancer, and even though I knew a lot about prostate, I'm thinking if it's cancer, he gonna send me to an oncologist or something. You know what I'm saying? And when he said urologist, I was like, "Ooh, maybe, yeah, maybe it's just you know." So I was being dumb with it. And so once I got off the phone with him, and I looked at my labs online, it was 5. I think it was 5.2, 5.3, and so I was like, okay, so it's not that much over 4. So So he gave me, once again, I'm gonna give you another jewel, because he said, here's the doctor, urologist I'm referring you to. I want you to go see him, go talk to him, see what he got to say and everything. And I said, okay. So I called the doctor's office immediately, because now, I'm on high alert mode. Like, I need to know what's going on, And so I called the doctor's office, and the nurse said, well, Dr. So-and-so no longer works here. He's not even practicing anymore. So now I'm like, what the hell? Okay. So, now I'm like, no, we're not going to do this anymore. So I get online and I start searching urologists. And I put in there best urologists in the area, not just urologists, best urologists in the area. So I did that, and this name came up, and all his reviews were 5s, pretty much, with exception of 1 or 2, and they were 4 or 3. But he had the best reviews, and the things they were saying about him, I could relate to. So I called his office and said, hey, my doctor said I need to. The good thing about having Medicare is you don't have to go through you don't have to wait for no paperwork. You can pick your own doctor. So I called him and his office, and they said, well, we can make an appointment, but it's 4 weeks out. So now again, I'm anxious. I'm thinking, okay, he's the best one. I said, put me down. But while they put me down, I was still searching and searching to see if I can get an earlier one. But come to find out, there's no earlier one. These doctors are stretched out. Doctor's appointments were few and far between, and they were saying I was lucky to get him in 4 weeks, And so I went on and did that. So you got to understand my mindset from the time I was told that it was elevated to 4 weeks later. I'm doing all kind of research now, and I don't advise people do that because your mind start playing tricks on you and stuff. So I don't really advise you to do that.
That just drives you crazy, man.
Exactly. But I am one of those people that just can't sit still. So I couldn't sit still. So I remember 4 weeks came. I was the happiest guy in the world. Another thing I will tell you, I didn't tell my wife, I didn't tell my kids, I didn't tell anybody. So I'm going through this for 4 weeks alone because I didn't want to alert them, So I don't want to say this and this, and it ain't nothing. If it's an enlarged prostate, all I got to do is take a pill for a couple months and it will shrink it and you'll be okay. So hoping for the best, So 4 weeks go in, I come in the office and he said, hey, how you doing? I'm said, okay. He said, okay, touch him. Let's go. He was kind of funny, and he was, optimism, like Colin Powell said, is a force multiplier. And he was very optimistic, And he was like, God, you seem like a great young man. Let's do this and touch him. And he touched him. He said, I really don't feel nothing there. Everything seemed normal. He said, but I tell you what, I want you to go take another PSA at our lab across the hall there. So I went, took another PSA. I said, do you want me to come back? And he said, no. I'll get the results and then I'll talk to you then. So it's another hurry up and wait,
Yeah, right.
And so I go over, do the PSA, and about a day or two later, I got a call from him. He said, it's still elevated. And it was about the same, maybe instead of 5.5, it may have been 5.6, 5.7. And he said, yeah, it's elevated. It says it's not that bad, but it's enough that I need to see what's going on. He said, we're going to start off with an MRI. And I'm going to try to shorten this story as much as I can. So I go do the MRI. And that was a 2 week wait too, a matter of fact. Right. So I told them to make an appointment, and it was 2 week wait. So at this time, I'm worried. So I talked to my wife and I said, hey, I got an MRI in 2 weeks. My PSA is elevated. There's nothing right now. We just want to make sure. And she said, okay. So she went with me. And scariest time of my life, getting ready for that MRI. And I was so happy it was not an enclosed MRI. It was an open MRI and everything. So just laying there waiting and waiting and waiting. So the MRI is over and they said, okay, we'll get back with you. So, once again, you see where the journey
Hurry
part
up and wait, baby. Hurry up and wait.
you see where the journey part comes because
Right,
we
yep.
really on a journey. So I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And about a week later, I get a call from my doctor. He said, well, Marvin, good news, bad news. I saw a couple spots there that I'm worried about, but it's nothing really serious for us to worry about right now. So guess what we're going to do now? I said, what's that? He said, we're going to do a biopsy now. So call my office, set up a biopsy, and we're going to get to the bottom of this thing right now. Okay. I said, okay. Like I said, optimistic, force multiplier. He kept me calm and he kept me focused and stuff. So I go tell my wife, I still ain't told my kids yet. So I tell my wife, hey, I got to go do a biopsy. And you definitely got to go this time because they going to put me under and everything. So I call his office, get an appointment 2 to 3 weeks later. So by the time I got my biopsy, it was the last week of June. Now,
Wow.
mind you, I done started this journey the end of April.
Right.
Okay. you know,
Yeah.
well, the end of April, 1st of May. And so I'm like, oh my God, why am I always waiting? And so I uh go to do the biopsy. Scariest time. This was even more scary because every time you leveling up per se. And you go in there, I got 100 questions and stuff, and it's kind of like having a colonoscopy, except for they just pinching parts of your prostate off to get lab samples, roughly 15 pieces of your prostate, all over your prostate. And they get their lab samples and they have to send them to the lab and everything. It's about a half an hour to an hour procedure. Um, but it takes about half a day with the prep and all that other stuff. And I'm gonna be nitty gritty with y'all. I'm gonna tell y'all all the good details and everything. So once you go on your journey, if you ever have to go on a journey, and those of you that's been on this journey will understand exactly what I'm saying. Uh, After the biopsy, is both scary and you're wondering what's going on. So you wake up, and the first thing you got to do is go to the bathroom. Got to go to the bathroom. So the nurse say, okay, the bathroom right over there. Don't lock the door and don't flush the toilet. And I'm looking at her like, okay, is this a quiz or something? She said, no, just don't do it. She said, you might see a little blood. And I went to the bathroom and there was a whole bunch of blood. I was like, oh, God.
Hey, what's going on here?
Yeah, what's going on here? What y'all do? And so it's kind of weird when you go to the bathroom, all you see is red pretty much. And then it start getting a little pink. And I come out and she go in the bathroom and she looks in there and she said, yeah, that's about right. And then she flushes and she comes back in and she said, don't be alarmed. He said, that might go on for the next couple of days, but don't be alarmed. I said, how can you not be alarmed?
Right.
So, so, uh, so the doctor came in and said everything went well. Give us a week. We're gonna send it to the lab. So give us a week. We're gonna send it to the lab. I'll give you a call. Longest week of my life.
Oh,
Longest
I
week.
bet,
Because
man.
now,
I can imagine.
yeah, because now we're at the nitty gritty part of it. And
Uh-huh.
we're like, this is what really tells you what's going on.
Uh-huh.
This is not a picture. This is nothing. This is uh actual pieces of your prostate. And so So about a week go by, he was right on it. I did my biopsy on Tuesday, and the following Tuesday I got a call. I already made my mind up that if it's the nurse, she gonna say everything's okay.
Don't
Your
worry about it.
prostate, yeah, don't worry about it. Your prostate is a little large or whatever, or something to that
Right.
effect.
Uh-huh.
And that I said, but if the doctor's on the line, now I'm sitting here doing this while the phone is ringing. I told you I'm going to be as honest as possible with
Oh
y'all.
yeah. Uh-huh.
And so I'm sitting there looking at the phone and I'm doing this. And I don't know, I better answer the phone, you know? I
Right,
answered the
right.
phone and it was his voice. And I was like, in my head, I was like, oh shit, I'm toast, you
Yeah,
know?
oh, I know what's going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. He said, well, Marvin, uh, yeah, we got all the lab back and everything. Good news, bad news. But I need you to come in my office. He said it is prostate cancer, but I need you to come in my office so we can go over everything so you have a better picture. I don't want to talk to you about this on the phone, but I do want you to know it is prostate cancer. But no worries though. He said, really, I don't want you to worry. I was like, yeah, right. You know, he said, so I'm gonna transfer you to the front desk and they're gonna get you an appointment to come see me. I was saying to myself, here we go another 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, right,
So
right, right.
no, it was only like 3 days. So so I go to the office and me and my wife are sitting and waiting. And he comes in and I'm gonna be my doctor is of Indian heritage, and I'm gonna get his name for you so I can give him a shout out. I keep forgetting it because um, it's not something you remember all the time. So Simba, that's his name, Dr. Simba.
Mm-hmm.
And so he came in, you know how the nurse do take your vitals and everything. And me and my wife, I can tell she's nervous also. I'm nervous. And he comes in and he pulls his stool up and he gets right here in my face. He said, we got this, young man. We got this. Don't worry. It is prostate cancer. But I'm gonna tell you the whole thing. You got like 3 little dots, and those 3 little dots is in the center of your prostate. That's great. When they're on the edge, you have a problem. So just because it can metastasize and go outside your prostate, but it's on the center of your prostate. He said, you're at about a stage 2. That's not bad at all. He said, we actually could wait about a year before we do any kind of treatment. And I kind of looked at him. I'm like, you crazy. You know, I said that under my voice, you know. And so then he said, your Gleason score. And I think y'all might hear a lot about that with Joe Biden, who's going through prostate cancer right now. My Gleason scores go from a 6 to a 10. And 10 being the worst, 6 being, and what that does is it tells the doctor how aggressive your prostate cancer is. Mine was a 6/7, so it was on the least aggressive end. If you get an 8, 9, or a 10, it's aggressive, and that's unfortunately that's where Joe Biden is right now. So is not aggressive, uh, but you have choices. Once again, I want everybody to pay attention to this area right here and understand that you do have choices. And I need you to you gotta understand I had already did some homework on this stuff before I got there because like I tell you, I'm just that type of person. I ran myself crazy doing this research, but I wanted to not be stupid when I go in there. So he said, you got 3 options. A lot of people don't have no options. You got 3 options. That's why I'm saying we got this. You know, he said, I am one of the best surgeons in there in this state. He said, I've been doing this longer than most people. Uh, I am a excellent surgeon. And I was like, okay, we got that part. So what are my options? First, radiation and chemo. Second, surgery where we actually take the whole prostate out. And third, we can just wait and watch it. And I looked at him on the last one. I said, "Is that really an option?" He said, "Yeah." And I said, "People actually choose that?" He said, "You'll be surprised how many men choose that option to wait and watch." So I said personally, I don't want to wait and watch. I don't like the fact that I'm walking around right now with cancer in my body and not knowing what it's going to do. You can say it's a slow moving cancer, but I might be that one person where it starts moving fast. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Yep.
So I don't want to take that risk. So let's see what the other two options are. I said, of the other two options, which one would you take? And he said, I can't really do that. I can't really say that. And I said, he said, but I'm gonna tell you one thing. Every urologist that I know that gets prostate cancer, get it taken out. I say you should have led with that. If the experts are getting it taken out, guess what I'm gonna do? Get it taken out. So that part of the journey I call realizing what you're up against, making a decision on what you're gonna do to solve the problem, and starting the next part of the journey, which is which is the actual healing, actual uh actual treatment part of it. So I decided to have surgery, and and guess what? I had to wait 3 more months.
Right.
So
Right.
you see the journey and
Right.
everything.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't have to, but he suggested that I do that because I'm giving y'all another gem. You need to do pelvic floor exercises once you learn that you have prostate cancer uh, because it will help you with the incontinence afterwards. Incontinence is leakage, uh, not able to hold your bladder, and it will help you with uh, having sex again.
Yeah.
Uh, it helps you with all those things. And if you do it, he said that all the patients he have, the ones that did pelvic floor exercises at the beginning before the surgery, had a better outcome after the surgery.
Got it.
So he said, I'm gonna give you three, and this is why I chose him, because I knew he knew all these things, and and I had this feeling that he really wanted to make sure that we were okay. And so I said, okay, then. So we did that for 3 months. And the last thing he said to me before I left, he said, I know 3 months seems like a long time, but it's going to go fast, and we're going to take care of this thing, man. I got you. I got you. And so the surgery is another thing. And we will talk about that at another date or time, because the surgery itself is a big deal. And uh, it will. Uh, it will change your life. You'll never be the same. Once you get cancer, you'll never be the same. I can tell you that right now. So I also, while I was doing pelvic floor exercises, I was seeing a therapist. Yeah, a black man seeing a therapist, because my head was about to blow open. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so after that meeting with him, and I decided I was going to do surgery, I came back home. I called my oldest daughter and I talked to her about it, try to put her at ease. And then I got my two youngest daughter in a room, and we all talked about it. And we came up with this theory, and with this, our theme. And I would suggest that you, along with your family, do something that includes the whole family, so that y'all can fight this thing together. And the thing that we came up with was, one, uh, God's got me. I just got to do the work. And what that means is, yes, there, you don't get results from prayer without work. So God's got me, but I got to do the work. I got to go do this pelvic floor exercise. I have to eat better. I have to. I have to go to a therapist. and make sure my head is right, because your head being right is really important when you're going through cancer, because negativity creeps in and you don't and you get in some dark places, you know. And the second thing was, first thing, once again, God's got me. I just got to do the work. The second thing was, and still is, make the main thing the main thing. And what that is staying alive.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main thing. That's the main thing. And we said this throughout the journey. And the day I went in for surgery, that's what we all said. And so, like I said, I say the surgery for I'll say surgery is another whole episode. And then the recovery time is the last phase, is trying to recover from it. And I'll tell you, I did pelvic floor exercise after that. And I continue to do therapy here today. And the 3 months after the surgery is very important too, because you get your next PSA, and your PSA have to say 0.1 or undetectable.
Mm.
If it doesn't, then you got to start looking at radiation and chemotherapy, because
Gotcha.
that means that they didn't get all of the cancer. And I'll tell you, I pray to God and I thank God every day. I'm truly blessed that he got the whole cancer and everything. It was in the prostate. It didn't go to my glands, because if it goes to your glands, they have to take those out too.
Right.
And those glands are the things that help you with urination
Mm-hmm.
and your sex drive, and being able to have a heart on.
Gotcha.
If you don't have those, you're gonna need a lot of help. If you
Right.
got those, you need less help. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
those lymph nodes are very important. The one thing that you just, that's in the past, is you're not gonna ejaculate. You gonna feel like you are ejaculating, but you're not gonna ejaculate. Ain't nothing coming out, because
Yeah.
the prostate is where that all that stuff comes from.
Right.
And so you're not gonna see that no more. That's a thing of the past.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I got to let you know that the pelvic floor exercises was great for me, because my incontinence was basically done after 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So you just, yeah. The other thing that men don't like, you're taking away my manhood.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna have sex no more. I'm gonna be peeing all over myself. Like my doctor say, it's a wet sport. It's a wet sport. You're gonna be wet,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
He said, but guess what? You're alive.
Yep.
He said, it beats the alternative, don't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the last thing he said to me on my 3 month check, when I came up with when my PSA came up with non-detectable, was didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you? And I said, thank you. I said, God bless you. And he said, no, don't thank me. Thank God, because God is using me as a tool. And he used me as a tool to try to heal you and heal other people. So don't thank me, thank God. And
Yep.
I said, man, I know I chose you for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
And I stand by him 110%. Whenever I have willing people that want to talk about their journey with prostate cancer, uh, whether they just finding out, uh, is I will suggest him to anybody, because he's just that good. And I will tell men, find out, take the
Yeah.
test,
Yeah.
because it's curable. You don't have to die of prostate cancer.
Right. That's right. Yep.
Yeah. So, any questions, man? I like I said, I could go on and on, but and my journey is still going on. Next uh I have my next PSA in July.
Okay.
And that's why it's an ongoing journey, because for the next year I will be taking PSAs every 6 months. And if
Okay.
they're clear after a year, I will go back to only taking it once a year, you know.
Nice.
So, but right now I'm considered cancer free right now. So
There
the
you go.
journey was a successful one.
There you go, man. I had a couple questions, man, but you answered both the damn questions in your thing. That's all good, man. I mean, I think this is positive, man. I mean,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
try to be as thorough as possible, man, because I know for a fact that there's some people out there suffering right now from prostate cancer that don't want to face it. And
yeah.
I understand why, but I can't figure out after you face it why you don't want to heal yourself, you know?
Well, man, I think a lot of people, man, particularly in our community, man, is that I call it a sickness, man. I mean, I get it, man. That there are a lot, in the history of this country, man, this country has done some devious and evil stuff to our people. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not minimizing that. But what I'm saying is you got to go out there, man, get you a doctor that cares about you, that cares about your health.
That's a good
You got to advocate for yourself. There's no reason for us to suffer through prostate cancer or any type of cancer or any type of disease, diabetes. All of that stuff is manageable. So we got to get out there. This is the type of story that we need to hear. And a lot of brothers, man, they're just turning 40 or 45, and you got to go get that colonoscopy, man, and you're all nervous and stuff, man. Look, I was there too, man.
Yeah.
And you got to do it. Just go out there, man. It's not painful, man. They're gonna put you down. You ain't gonna feel a thing, man.
Exactly.
And you'll get the response that you need. You'll get the results, and whatever that means, you'll start that journey, man. So
information, man.
Right.
Information is the key. Right. Information is the key. I'm sorry. Information is key. Lack of information will kill you.
Yeah, and there's no reason for us to be dying because of this, man. And I'll put it another way, man. Even if you're fearful, a lot of us, man, are grandparents. A lot of us have children, adult children, and you want to spend the later parts of your life with them, man. And by not going to the doctor and getting this done and finding out what's wrong, what you're basically doing is taking that time away from your children and your grandchildren.
Do it for
so
them.
Look at it that way. That puts a little bit of courage in you to make you go in and do what you need to do.
Yeah, do it for them. And I'll put a bow on this so we can get ready to go into something else. But the bow is, first of all, prevention.
Yep.
Get checked. Man, get checked. Number 2 is, like you said, be an advocate for yourself. Don't let nobody tell you what they can and cannot, what they can and cannot do to help you in your situation and everything. And if you don't like the doctor you got, get another one.
Yep. There's tons of them out there.
Yeah. The next one is be diligent.
Yeah.
Be diligent. Stay on your game. Stay focused. Stay focused on getting well. Make the main thing the main. A whole lot of stuff is going to come at you, but my family did an excellent job of taking a lot of stuff off my plate so I can concentrate on heal. Get on this fight for cancer. Is they took all that stuff out of place off my plate and said, "Don't worry about this. Make the main thing the main thing."
Yep.
When I said, "Well, we need to do this, we need to," no, Daddy. Make the main thing the main thing. Yep. So have a village. That's the next thing. You can't do it alone. You can try if you want to, but don't do it alone. I suggest you don't do it alone. Because if you do the surgery, like I said, it's a whole nother journey. The surgery is a journey itself. So, but I knew I didn't want to be sick. And when you do radiation and chemotherapy, you'll be sick. And like I said, I'll save that for another day when we talk about how you treat prostate cancer and everything.
Yep.
Do you have any questions at all? Any more questions? So.
Nah, man, just tell you I'm proud of you, man. Thank you for putting your story out there, man. Hopefully some Black men will recognize that, we need to get over this silliness, man, of not wanting to go to the doctor and not taking care of our health. Good job, man. This is, not much else I can say, man. This was great.
Okay, well, good. So now we'll transition then. Yeah, let's transition. We're going to talk a little bit about a Tyler Perry movie that's coming out. That Suleiman got a few words to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, I won't stay on it too long, man. I mean, because I got a lot of friends, man. A couple friends and stuff. That we go out and do things together, and we always have these discussions. And I want to say this, man. I mean, first of all, I'm Tyler Perry and I share the same reflection. So
Mhm.
I don't hate the guy. I think hate is a terrible word. I just think he can be better. I mean, the movies that he puts out takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of money, and I get that. But my point is that you can do better. You can put better movies out. I mean, like the new movie he has coming out, and I haven't seen it because it's not out yet, but I just saw the trailer, and it looks like another typical Tyler Perry movie. Again, as this myth of the super black woman. As if black women, you know, uh, of no fault of their own, they're in the situations that they're in. And I'm positive that there's some image of some black man in there who's either a thug, in jail, on drugs, wife beater, not taking care of his kids, some negative image of black men in his movie. And I don't understand what he's trying to accomplish. You have the ability, you have the platform to help us improve our image, and you don't have to make movies, every single movie, about the small fraction of our community that's failing. There's a large section of our community that is successful and has been successful forever, and we never see that in a Tyler Perry movie. So essentially, he's making money, or the people who fund him are making money off of our dysfunction, and I don't understand that.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to say that people should boycott it. I will just say that I'm not going to give my hard-earned money to be um, disrespected in a movie theater. And if Tyler Perry or his people should see this and happen to hear what I have to say, I would say do better.
Okay. Yeah.
There are lots of things out there that you could tell stories about our people that you're not telling the story about. And as a black man, and you're a black man, to constantly degrade us and act as though we are not successful as a male black species um, is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I'll just end it with that.
And you're not the only one. I've heard a few people over the years uh, that have said that. My daughter and her husband, one, they went years without looking at Tyler Perry movies and stuff. Uh, they are a little bit more acceptable of some of them here lately, but
Mm-hmm.
they are real choosy about the Tyler Perry movies that they look at and
Yeah.
everything. But uh, uh, they really didn't like Tyler Perry movies. There's some other people I know too, and like you said, it can't. And when you do them over and over, it brings out a narrative and stuff.
Yep.
And but you got to know. My thing is knowing who Tyler Perry is through social media, and the things that he said himself. You got to know how he grew up. He
Yeah.
grew up in a house full of women, so
Yeah.
that's what he was used to: strong black women.
Yep.
He
Yep.
didn't see strong black men. So
Yeah.
that's why the things that we've been talking about over the years, where you said we got to get men back at the head of the household,
Yes. Yes,
this
sir.
play this plays a part in what Tyler Perry puts out on the screen and everything.
True.
When you ask him who his heroes are, is I think it was what Patti LaBelle, uh, uh, two or three other women. I forget who they are,
True.
but they're all women. He
Mm-hmm.
never once said a man was his role model or hero and stuff. And I know that that plays a part in the type movies he put out there. Um, the other thing I want to say about it is when he came out, I think he came out, most his, I heard it coming out of Texas. He had his little plays in Texas and stuff. And it was a groundswell. It was
Mm-hmm.
a groundswell. He
Mm-hmm.
came out of nowhere.
He
These
did.
plays just kept coming out, it was almost like the chitlin circuit for play, you know. They just kept going to little towns, little towns, little towns. People kept talking, to the next thing you know, it's this big guy, you know, this big guy out there. Have you seen the Tyler Perry play? The Tyler Perry play? And I was like, who in the world is this Tyler Perry guy? You know, this Mud Deal, that Mud Deal, you know? And so I think the other thing in his thinking and making movies is Mud Deal put me on the map, and it made me popular. And some of the people that he started out with, he kept on for a long time. And I think that turned some people off too, that he just had actors that nobody knew, that people thought couldn't act, you know? So it's a lot that goes on with it. So
it is, and I'm not in that business, so I mean I always try to be extremely careful when I'm critical of that business, because I'm not in that business and I don't know what it requires to get a film greenlit, what it requires to get the amount of money, how to get the actors. I don't know how to do that. I just think my point is that there are other stories out there that we could be telling about the Black family and how we become what we are today. And I just wish that he would take the opportunity to maybe to explore that. And I get it, being a film is entertainment. So there has to be some type of entertainment in it. And I get the comedic view and I get the dramatic stuff. And sometimes you have to play loose with the facts in order to get a movie where it needs to be. But my point is that Tyler Perry is our age. And he's been an adult for a very long time. I get how he was raised. I get how the people who was in his household and who helped him get to where he needs to be. But you've been an adult for a very long time. You can't tell me that you haven't sat in a room in Hollywood or a room in wherever it is that you're doing your films and had positive Black men sitting across from you that you can tell a story about. I wasn't going to bring the story up, but I'll say it really quick. Here's a story that he could tell about. He could talk about the relationship between Black people in this country and Cadillac. You know, I know you're a little bit older than me. You probably understand how Cadillac and Black people became what we are. But for those that don't know, let me briefly tell you about that.
I don't know. So, I drive one.
Henry Ford in the early 1900s, when he was building car companies, he actually built 3 car companies. Ford was the third of the 3 companies. He built one company, failed at the beginning. He built the second one, which eventually became GM, Cadillac, and he built Ford, right? He sold the second one to, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he created GM. Well, obviously Cadillac was a GM product. Well, during the late 20s, when we had a depression, Cadillac had lost about 70 to 75% of their profit due to the depression, right? One of their board members came into a meeting with Cadillac and said, "We are getting killed. Why don't we sell to Black folks?" Probably said more like Negroes or coloreds, but let's use the word Black folks. And they were like, "What?" And he said, "Why don't we sell to Black folks? They can help us build our company back up." He said, white people are losing their jobs. They weren't selling to Black people, and banks weren't giving Black people loans at that time. So what did Black people do at that time? We took our money, and because banks wouldn't allow us to have bank accounts, we kept our money with us. So what Cadillac decided to do was start to sell their cars to Black folks. Black folks had cash. We could go out. Black folks had $2,000 cash, $1,000 cash. That's how Cadillac built their company back up from when they were almost bankrupt in the late 20s, which is why when you and I were teenagers in the 60s and 70s, Black folks had Cadillacs. Who were the people that drove Cadillacs, right? You hear that trope all the time about Black people and Cadillacs. Well, that's because Cadillac was the first car company to sell to Black people. And Black people were one of the most loyal people in this country. So Black folks for 40 years, almost 50 years, continued to buy Cadillacs. So they built their brand off of Black people. But you don't hear that, and you don't hear about that story in movies and TV shows. Cadillac wouldn't be where they are today if it wasn't for African Americans in this country. Tyler Perry could tell that story. You could tell that story. You could tell, you could implement that story into one of your movies on why Cadillac is as successful as it is today, because they built their company on the backs of Black people. You could talk about the fact that this country, even in the 20s, was racist towards Black people, not giving us bank loans, not selling cars to us. Institutional racism, the thing that our current president is trying to throw under the rug. So that's the issue I have with Tyler Perry, is that there are more beneficial movie projects and stories that you could be telling other than seeing a 6'2" guy walking around in a dress acting like a buffoon. So I'll end it with that.
Yeah, I got you. I think what you're saying, and I can't put words in your mouth. What I hear you saying is you have nothing against Tyler Perry and his hustle. Everybody got hustle.
No shade at all. None.
It's just that you wish that at some point in time he would do more stories that show Black men in a positive light, and as a head of their household, and Black people doing more positive things, and not and the leading role is not always that of a woman, a Black woman. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's exactly what I would like him to do, is because I understand image, and I understand what filmology can do for the image of Black people in this country. And he has the ability to at least put a dent into that negative image that Hollywood has put out about Black people for over 100 years. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, like I said, that's fair. That's actually fair. So yeah. Any other movies you want to talk about while we're at it?
I watched one. I want to recommend this. It was a Hulu movie, and it was called shoot. I think it was called Ambition, Forgiveness, or something like that. I can't remember. It's on Hulu. It's got the I can't remember the brother's name. The brother, if you ever saw 42 with the Jackie Robinson story,
yeah, I saw that.
He was the I know what it's called. It was called Unambitious. I think it was Unambitious Forgiveness.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And it's a movie about the relationship between a young brother who's married and has kids. His relationship with his father. His father was on drugs when he was younger, but he got himself clean, and the father's trying to have a relationship with his son. So the whole movie is about that dynamic. And I think from a Black person's perspective, it's real because some of us have experienced that in our lives, but it also shows how forgiveness can help bring our family back together. So I would like to recommend that movie to people if you haven't watched it.
Okay, cool. Spike Lee. Even when Spike Lee was coming up back in the day, there were a whole bunch of people that didn't like his movies either.
Correct.
They thought it was too ghetto and stuff, or too hood, or too, So you take hits.
Yeah.
You take hits, and Spike Lee's path is, in my opinion, now is a little harder than Tyler Perry, because Tyler Perry can write his own checks now.
Sure.
Spike Lee is rich and he's well off, but he still can't greenlight his movies. Like,
no, he got to get his own. He got to get it right. And Spike Lee, they don't like Spike Lee. Yeah. And I'm old enough to remember Spike Lee's first couple movies, and they were buffoonery. I mean, she's got to have it. And a couple others. But as he started becoming more popular and bringing people into the theaters, he had a little bit more flexibility. And
he did with Malcolm X and stuff like that.
Mo Better Blues.
I love Malcolm X, real dude.
Malcolm X, Mo Better Blues, Fight for Power, School Days.
School Days.
He talked on. Go ahead.
I tell you what, a movie that I really enjoyed, don't have anything to do with them two, is Will Smith in the Pursuit of Happiness. I think that tells a story about a Black man better than most stories do.
Yeah.
A single black man
Mhm.
raising his own child, his own son. You know.
Yeah, I like those type of movies. I mean, I think historical movies are good, but what I would like to see is like think about when we turn on the TV sometimes. Like for instance, I'll use something like ER.
Mm-hmm.
ER was on for 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
and that was just a normal show about doctors,
Mm-hmm.
right? A lot of drama, but normal doctors. You had the person who was in charge of the hospital was a brother.
Mm-hmm.
You had another surgeon who was pretty good. Lots of people in there. What's wrong with having movies and shows like that? Why do all of our shows have to be about drugs or some type of sexual content or some type of dysfunction? I mean, I've been married for 32 years, and my wife and I have had no dysfunction in my entire life. But yeah, when I go to the movie theater, I see it as if it's something that's rampant in our community.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just say that directors, writers, find the average person and write a story about them, because that's what our young men and women need to see. They need to
Yeah.
see. They need to see.
Now, devil's advocate,
Of
we
course.
as the consumer need to support them. When those movies come out,
Yes, sir.
we got to go support them. You know, we
Yeah.
can't say there's no buffoonery in there. I can't laugh, so I don't want to go see it. You know, so
Well, I tell you, I'm an advocate of going to see what I mean. I didn't let my daughter go see Tyler Perry movies when she was coming up. I would not allow her to go to watch those movies because
right.
I didn't want that to be the image that we were supporting. That's how movies get greenlit. Dudes like the young director that made Sinners, Coogler. He's a guy that he's got good movies that are out. The guy who did Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele's another one that puts out good movies. I know people don't like the horror movies and the kind of the suspense stuff that he does, but he puts out good, positive images.
Jordan Peele did Get Out, right?
Yeah, Get Out. He did Get Out. He did Us.
Look, Get Out was one of the stupidest movies I've seen.
It was, but it was
entertaining. But I got lost a couple times in it. I was like, why is blood coming out of their eyes and stuff?
Yeah,
it took me a few minutes to catch on to what was going on. You know, not only was it get out of the house, but get out of the body and stuff. You know.
Yeah. He's like that though, man. He does that. He writes those movies that are kind of like who's the show, man? Something Files. What was it called?
X-Files.
X-Files type movie. I mean, he made Us. He made he made Them. And my wife and I went to see Sinners, and he's got another movie coming out, and Marlon Wayans is a star in it. It's called
I saw that preview. That was kind of crazy too. So
it's called I think it's called Us.
Yeah, I forget what the name of it. It's gonna be one of those crazy movies too.
It is. It's gonna make a lot of money. But my point is, those are the type of movies. Even though it's weird, those are the type of movies that I would like to see.
It's entertaining. It's entertaining.
So cool.
Okay,
that was it, man. That was
I guess that's it. Final thought, and I was going to add it on at the end of my segment, but I forgot. Joe Biden has stage 4 metastatic prostate cancer. That's all you need to know, and that has spread to the bone. Donald Trump and his people have been putting out misinformation for the last week on that stuff. First of all, Donald Trump said he was at stage 9. There is no such thing as stage 9 or stage 5. He said stage 5 at one time. Cancer only has 4 stages. My thing is, Mr. President, don't say nothing about stuff you don't know nothing about, you know? And the other thing was all of a sudden now they want to do investigation on how long he's been knowing he got man, why this man has stage 4 metastatic cancer? Why do y'all want to take his family through this stuff? Just know that he's sick. He's really sick. He don't have the options I had, the 3 options I had. He can't do surgery. He's too old for surgery. You can't do radiation and chemo. He won't survive it because of his age and his frailness. The only option he has is what my brother is doing, and that's called hormonal therapy. That's where you get a hormone injection every once a month, once every 2 months, is according to how bad it is. And you take a chemo pill, one little pill every day for the rest of your life. And all that's gonna do is prolong his life, and that's
Yep.
it. So
Well, I mean, let me just finish with this, man. I'm not surprised that Donald Trump and the Republicans would do that. This is what I've always said about, so-called Christians, is that you think that you're going to run around and ravage and pillage the world and be disrespectful and rude and evil to people, and then you think when it's time for you to die, you think you can say a few Hail Marys and all of a sudden that's going to get you in heaven.
Exactly.
And this is the type of stuff I'm talking about. Donald Trump is in the fourth quarter overtime of his life. Tomorrow is not guaranteed for that man, considering how old he is. And the last thing you want to be known for on earth is being critical of an 80-something-year-old man that has prostate cancer. What do you think is going to happen when you meet your maker? You think he's going to say, hey, you lived a good life. We appreciate that. I'm going to open up the gates for you.
Yeah, you prayed to me before you died to forgive you all your sins.
Exactly, and that's my point. I'm like, you are going to pay for that.
Yeah,
there's going to be a time where you have to answer for your silliness. So, anyway, man, we've been kicking it for an hour, so let's go ahead.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get on off here. But thanks a lot for the conversation, man. I hope in some way, shape, form, I can help somebody. I helped somebody today. So
yes,
just let us know and tell them our particulars and everything.
Yes, we're on YouTube. Excuse me. We're on YouTube's, man. Gents Making Sense should be up in about a day or two, man. We're on Spoutable. We're gonna get on a couple other sites, some audio sites, Spotify, here coming up soon. We're looking into that. But we appreciate people listening and watching our content, man. We're still building while we're flying, man, trying to get more subscribers. So hit that subscribe button. We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, we're over 6,500 views now. I'm really hoping that we get to 10,000 by September, October, somewhere in there.
Let's do it.
Do it now, or I'll hunt you down. Smash like.
There we go. Once again, this show, I appreciate you, sir. Let's take it on home.